Man, oh man, things just keep getting worse and worse for Stephen A. Smith as his contemporaries and colleagues keep on exposing all the lies that Stephen A. Smith has told when it comes between this back and forth with LeBron James. But we're going to unpack all that next here on the Simply Ball Dropping podcast. Well, guys, man, this thing just keeps getting uglier and uglier for Stephen A. Smith. A lot of people are coming out exposing Stephen A. Smith for every lie that he has told through his time being on ESPN. And this is kind of interesting, man, because we got to really step back and take a look and listen to what Jason Whitlock has always been saying. So I'm going to give a shout out to my man Sportsway with Dre Day podcast because I did a video earlier talking about Michael Wilbon and Nick Wright and Matt Barnes calling out Stephen A. Smith. And he came in the comments section. He made something very clear that Jason Whitlock has been trying to tell us about Stephen A. Smith for a long time, but nobody was listening. Everybody thought Jason Whitlock was just a hater. This is what Jason Whitlock's supposed to do. And we missed the point. And it's been out there for us to really pay attention to, but we've been hopscotching over it. We all know the beef that Jason Whitlock and Stephen A. Smith got. They go back and forth about a lot of things. Stephen A. Smith went on a rant talking about Jason Whitlock, called him the fat bastard and everything. He went on a whole hour segment on his show trying to eviscerate Jason Whitlock. But Jason Whitlock has been bringing up stuff about Stephen A. Smith for the longest. And a lot of people was trying to discredit Jason Whitlock for a lot of things that he was saying. But now this situation with Stephen A. Smith and LeBron James, like I tell everybody, what don't come out in the wash will come out in the rinse. See, it's more layers to what's going on in this situation. And in this situation, everybody's focused on the back and forth with Stephen A. and LeBron, more so with Stephen A. Smith. LeBron went on the Pat McAfee show. He said what he had to say, and he's moved on. Stephen A. Smith keeps trying to build off the momentum. So Stephen A. Smith, in one clip, he said that when LeBron approached him, if he would have put his hands on him, he would have swung. He said he would have swung, and he made that abundantly clear that he would have swung. So it was a clip that was posted on his social media stating that. And what happened was that clip got millions of views on it. And a lot of people saying that was a clickbait clip because that's the only portion that it clipped. So that kept adding fuel to the fire. LeBron James responded on his Instagram with the clip of Stephen A. Smith training with a boxer and doing some boxing workouts. And everybody clowned that video when LeBron James posted it. That thing had over 6-7 million engagements on it. And that really added more fuel to the fire. So now Channing Frye came out and exposed Stephen A. Smith for the lies that he told about LeBron not being at Kobe's memorial. and the things about D Wade. That has nothing to do about basketball, critiquing a basketball player. That's something that's involved in their personal lives. Attending certain things as a man and as a father, that's your personal life. That had nothing to do about LeBron James dribbling the ball up and down the basketball court or Bronny James. See, this thing started off with the Bronny James issue and Stephen A. Smith talking about, I'm pleading and begging you as a father to stop this nonsense, to put out this misery. Your son is trash. And LeBron thought that was a dig at him as a father. So things escalated. So then Michael Wilbon came out and exposed Stephen A. Smith for the lies. Nick Wright has exposed Stephen A. Smith about his lies. Draymond Green said some things yesterday on his podcast directly to Stephen A. Smith. And we'll touch on that a little later on a different show. But today, Marcellus Wiley. We all know who Marcellus Wiley is. Marcellus Wiley, he's a former NFL star. Well, he was drafted in 1997 to the Buffalo Bills. He goes by the name of that dude. He played with the San Diego Chargers. Also, he played with the Dallas Cowboys and Jacksonville Jaguars. But we all know Marcellus Wiley has been in the media and has been on these shows. You know, he was the former host to a podcast as part of the Dan Patrick Podcast Network. He also formerly co-hosts Sports Nation on ESPN, as well as an afternoon drive time sports talk radio show on ESPN 710 AM in Los Angeles. And he was part of Fox Sports 1, and he also was on Speak for Yourself. So Marcellus Wiley is known in the business, and Marcellus Wiley has a lot of knowledge, and he knows a lot of things when it comes to Stephen A. Smith, because Stephen A. Smith formerly worked with Marcellus Wiley's partner, Max Kellerman. And Stephen A. Smith did some things to Max Kellerman that Marcellus Wiley touched on. But before we get off into what Marcellus Wiley said about Stephen A. Smith and the way he just eviscerated him, right now, I'm at 14,444 subscribers. I'm on the road to 15,000 subscribers. So if you're new to this platform and you're just now coming across any of these videos, do me a favor. Hit the subscribe button, turn your post notifications on so you know every time Simply Ball drops another hot banger, and we appreciate all your love and support. So let's take a look at what Marcellus Wiley said. Now, Marcellus Wiley came out and said Stephen A. is mad at LeBron like he was mad at Max Kellerman. Then he went on to say, we're tracking you, you liar. Don't think we don't see the game you're playing. Flat out called him a liar. Then he said, LeBron versus Stephen A., the biggest beef in sports history. So what I want to do for you guys, I want to play you a clip of what Marcellus Wiley's said, the real reason why Stephen A. Smith is mad at LeBron. Let's take a listen.
Smith not admitting the real reason he mad at LeBron is just because simply I just like Jordan and Jordan texts me back. So it's like I can stay there. And this whole GOAT, he gonna play it off like it's about the GOAT for LeBron. You remember when him and Max got into it? And he used to act like it was everything else except what was the one reason where everybody was like, nah, we think it's because T.O. said that Max was blacker than you.
Right.
And then he went on a world tour. Remember all them podcasts he did? Joe Budden and all them dancing around. All that dog. When you ever gonna address it had to get to you because shit flipped 180 quick
immediately.
Right?
He never recovered after that.
And you won't recover until you address the illness, not the symptoms. So that's the one thing about people. When we're not stupid, dog. The wisdom of the crowd is massive. Yep. People, there's millions and millions of people following him, dissecting every word. Raise your hand. I know. I'm listening to these words. I'm like, yeah, that's cute. It's like when your kids come up to you and lie. You just be like, dog, okay. When you going to tell me the part that I need to know? Like everything else you said was cute and it sounded great in your head in the bathroom. But right now, laying over my fucking lap in this bedroom before this thing come down on you, this thunder rains, I just need to know what was the real reason.
Now, you heard what Marcellus Wiley said. Now, Marcellus Wiley is on to something because basically Marcellus Wiley has basically telling the people, for anybody that wants to listen, I've seen this movie before. And he pointed out when he got on Max Kellerman, and that also turned into Max Kellerman losing his job because he wouldn't bow down to Stephen A. Smith. And what Marcellus Wiley said is the time that Max Kellerman was on there, and T.O. made reference to something because T.O. was on there, and T.O. said, Max is blacker than you. Stephen A. Smith took exception to that. And ever since then, people wanted to understand that back and forth. And Marcellus Wiley pointed out, what did Stephen A. Smith do right after that? He went on every podcast talking about that whole situation between him and Max, because people wanted to know why Max Kellerman got let go from ESPN First Take. And Stephen A. Smith went on a world tour, like LeBron said. He's on a Taylor Swift tour. And Marcellus Wiley pointed that out. You're not mad at LeBron for the reasons that you're saying that you're mad at LeBron. This is the GOAT debate for you. That's the real reason. And the real reason is correlated to the Max Kellerman situation, because Marcellus Wiley is basically saying you're treating LeBron James like Max Kellerman. And it has got up under Stephen A. Smith's skin. And that's why all his contemporaries and colleagues are coming out and exposing every lie that Stephen A. Smith has told. Now, this thing is getting ugly for Stephen A. Smith, man. A lot of people said, Stephen A. Smith, you should have let it go. You said you didn't want to address it, but you kept going. So the same thing that Marcellus Wiley pointed out, you're doing the same thing with LeBron James. You're going on everybody's podcast to air out your grievances. And everything has flipped, did a 360, because everything that you're talking about is not even about basketball. You bringing up personal stuff on their personal time away from the basketball court. Why didn't you do this? Why did you do that? It's flipped. It's not even about Bronny James no more. So Marcellus Wiley is on to something. So guys, pay close attention to what Marcellus Wiley said. And just like Jason Whitlock been saying all along, Stephen A. Smith is just a liar. And now that this situation has came to the forefront with him and LeBron James, his lies are getting exposed every day. And see, this is what people don't understand. Stephen A. Smith is a powerful figure on television, behind that mic. Like Matt Barnes said, Stephen A. Smith got y'all thinking that he got every secret to every NFL player, every NBA player. He knows their circle, and he'll have the answer if you need it. But when you got guys that just sit back and listen to Stephen A. talk, and they've been around Stephen A. and they know the real Stephen A., like his contemporaries and his colleagues, because it kind of shocked me that Michael Wilbon said the things that he said about Stephen A. Smith. That was a shocker, because, you know, they do NBA countdown. They be at games. That kind of shocked me. But what Channing Frye and Richard Jefferson and them guys said, they see that from the outside looking in because they've been around LeBron James. They know what's going on. And now they expose some of the stuff that Stephen A. Smith said. But I wasn't shocked when Marcellus Wiley came out and said what he had to say, because he is a good friend of Max Kellerman, and he still feels that Stephen A. Smith did Max Kellerman wrong. And Marcellus Wiley said on his podcast that that's a whole nother issue, and he won't get off into it. So Stephen A. Smith, man, it's starting to look bad, man. Starting to look bad. I see everybody in the comments section, #salute. If you're not subscribed to the channel, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, turn your post notifications on so you know every time Simply Ball drops another hot banger. Oh, just in case I forgot. Tell a friend to tell a friend. It might not be for you, but it might be for them. And that's going to wrap up another episode of the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast. I'm your host and the man behind the mic, K-Sap. We're going to catch you on the next one. Deuces.
Thanks for listening to the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share on all major platforms.
That's all, folks.